CHGO White Sox postgame show, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO office. Sits in beautiful the west in the West Loop of Chicago, in beautiful Chicago. It's a beautiful day out.
Hey,
that's
beautiful the West Loop.
The beautiful the West Loop. I'm Sean Anderson. I try to speak. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me is the full CHGO White Sox crew. We got CHGO White Sox beat writer Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. And back from Kansas City, you saw him on the post-game show or pregame show earlier. Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. We are coming to you live after a White Sox Vinnie, what'd you eat in Sagatuck? Sagatuck.
What?
Sagatuck? Where'd you go in Michigan?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
I was in Holland and Saugatuck.
And you had chicken?
I did have fried chicken.
Was it good?
It was delicious.
You looked you thought you'd enjoy it?
Oh, yeah. I'll murder
I
stuff.
don't know.
That chicken looked delicious. Go to Vinny's Instagram and check it out.
At Vinnie Duber over on Instagram, too. And he's verified over there. Look at that. Herb, but what's the best fried chicken you've had?
I don't even know. There's so many good ones. I mean, it's hard to mess up fried chicken, but some people do it. I haven't had any, like, specialty ones. The honey butter fried chicken, it's decent. But I don't know a specific one that I'm like, that one stands apart.
The Jules?
Jules is pretty damn good.
Good.
The Jules.
Jules is pretty good.
Or
nice rotisserie chicken there?
King Supers, which is in Denver area, I think is better than Jules. But you gotta go to
Blasphemy.
But you got to go to Denver, though.
Got to go to Denver. I guess we'll talk about it. We're coming to you live after a White Sox loss 4-3 in the ninth inning on a suicide. I mean, is it suicide?
It was a safety squeeze. The runner at
Safety
third was
squeeze?
just making sure he got the bunt down. Suicide is when you're running down the line before the pitches got being thrown.
Got you. Okay. So just a safety squeeze, but it scored the runner. It was effective. Royals win 4-3, and funny enough, they won 3 out of 4 against the White Sox. They are the losers of 2 straight, our Chicago White Sox, 5-5 in their last 10, 8.5 games back in the AL Central and 13 games below 500. Before we talk about the bad, just real quick, want to plug the shirts. We got brand new merch at CHGO Locker. Maybe it will make you smile while we were talking about the really bad stuff, because these designs are fantastic. Love the pinwheels, love the hats, like the baseball club. And Vinny, we noted earlier that you'd probably like the fact that it's spelled right. It's North Space Side and South Space Side.
North side, south side, those are 2 words apiece.
Remember that, folks. So go to chgolocker.com, and if you do want to become a diehard, you do get a code for a free shirt, and when you sign up, you get access to our Discord. I see Husky Bardo. I know he's in here, and you get this nice little box, too, that comes full of stuff.
Yeah,
the
shirt
that
you
get. You get a nice member card, and I believe there's stickers here.
A lot of stickers.
As well. You get a little package as well.
Sean, show them what they've won.
Right there on camera.
I'll drop it all. Look at that. See, now there's too many things.
Oh, my God.
I got you.
Oh, boy. So it's a box. What am I supposed to do?
That's it.
All right.
You did it. Yeah.
Right,
You're
cool.
done.
White Sox lose 4-3. I think we should start with the decision to bring Reynaldo Lopez in to close the game. It seems like that's what people were – I mean, that's what we talked about the most. We didn't talk about much during the game because it was kind of slow. But then
Kind of a
Reynaldo
snoozer.
Lopez came in.
I mean,
and,
that'll happen with some games.
Yeah,
There's 162 of them.
You were questioning Joe Kelly.
I was
coming in, and then Reynaldo Lopez comes in, and I mean, Vinny, you weren't really shocked. What do we make of Reynaldo getting that opportunity?
He hasn't stopped getting those opportunities. The numbers are horrific, and today, I think more than anything, it's that leadoff walk that was the most to blame. You can't really blame a pitcher for giving up a walk-off bunt, but if the guy that scores on that walk-off bunt, you put him on with 4 bad ones outside the zone, then that's on you, no doubt about it. The hit that sent that runner from first to third wasn't really all that special. It was just kind of a regular run-of-the-mill single. Yep. This, though, the walk, though, is what comes back to haunt you. They call it the dreaded leadoff walk for a reason, because that's a guy on base that you now have to navigate around, and Reynaldo Lopez could not navigate around him. It's almost like showing you exactly, though this guy was on first base instead of second base, how easy it is to score in the extra innings, right? When they put those guys on second base for free, so often a pitcher doesn't even have to screw up, really, in order to get that run across. Reynaldo Lopez didn't give up a home run like he's been doing over and over again, but he did something that White Sox pitching has been doing over and over and over again, walking guys. Herb, you talk about Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly's been really good lately. He was again today, I believe, a perfect 1-2-3 inning.
Quick, too.
Fewer than 10 pitches, I think. So, but man, Reynaldo Lopez cannot stop giving up runs. I guess the only thing you can point to is that there was always going to be an expiration date on using Reynaldo Lopez as the closer because of Liam Hendricks coming back. Now it looks like he could be back maybe as soon as next week. If that's the case, then these are the dying days of Reynaldo Lopez's tenure as the closer, or the guy who gets put in the toughest spots. But heck, what if 1 or 2 more of those come up this weekend against Houston? Is he still going to get sent out there? Sean, we talked the other day how much it seems that Pedro still has to rely on these guys, even the ones who have struggled. Reynaldo Lopez is one of those guys, but man, the number of outings in which he is letting guys cross home plate is just getting really, really high.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the trust will still be there, Herb, but I mean, would you have trusted Reynaldo in that decision? Would you have gone Graveman?
I don't know. I'm not the guy. The thing I have a problem with goes back to last night's game, where the game was out of control, and you put one of your best relievers in the game late in the game with Keenan Middleton. I would have saved him for today and put one of the struggling guys like Reynaldo Lopez or other relievers, in there to get some innings in, whatever they need to do. So I don't know if Keenan Middleton was available today, but I would have had him go into the 9th inning with the tie game, because he's getting the job done more often than not, and Reynaldo has not. But as I said the other day, you're going to have to depend on Reynaldo Lopez if this team is going anywhere. And so I understand why Pedro went to Reynaldo Lopez. Now it's on Reynaldo Lopez to execute the pitches, get the job done.
Don't walk guys.
Yeah, Prado's tough. He's real tough. But don't, like, I was mad about ball 4. Like, throw it down the middle. If Prado hits a home run, tip your cap. But if he walks, that's like, to me, you're giving up. You're not. It wasn't even a competitive pitch. He wasn't even close to the zone. So I just am mad about the execution, and then I felt like he was scared of Prado, which you can't pitch scared. Scared money doesn't win any, so it's really bad. And I don't know if I told Bill, he lives in Denver, King Supers. It's like a jewel out there. It's their grocery store. Yeah. Delicious chicken.
And he was pitching scared to Prado. He threw one fastball in the zone. Prado did foul it off. He did get a swing and a miss on one that was near the zone on the 3rd pitch, but he threw 6 fastballs to him. I mean, he was afraid to throw his slider to Nick Prado. He was not willing to really throw it in the zone at all. And then you see against Matt Duffy, and he did have Prado with 2 strikes. That's another big thing. And Matt Duffy put one in play and got a single with 2 strikes again. Like, Reynaldo Lopez needs to finish, guys. I mean, Cody was remarking, our Cubs guy, that, wow, the stuff looks good. He throws 99 and can't get guys out. It's like, you're not able to get Matt Duffy out. Like, Nick Prado's good, but you look at these 2 teams in the offseason, kind of similar in the way that they were both in the managerial market, trying to hire a coach, and now we're 40-ish games in, 39. What's 30? Yeah. These teams have very similar records: 12-27 for the Royals, 13-26 for the White Sox, and these 2 teams weren't supposed to be in the same position. And I understand if they bring in Stallmount or whomever to pitch against Luis Robert, that maybe they'll be a little bit wary of pitching against him. But, I mean, 1 pitch in the zone against Nick Prado? Like, this is the Royals. Like, you need to be attacking them. And Matt Duffy, like, you're not able to get Matt Duffy out, where the Cubs are booting him away. The Rays are booting him away. The Royals are just kind of having him as a body. He's been up and down from AAA and MLB for the past 2 years, and you can't get him out. Like, this team is not inspiring, and this team, like, I think Alec mentioned a 4.3% chance to make the playoffs. I'm surprised it's even that high.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think the Royals are above 1%. I wouldn't put the White Sox at a 1% chance to make the playoffs right now, because you think they're finding their footing after Cincinnati. They score 17-4, and yet you see Michael Kopech giving up solo homers, and it's like it's not an inspiring win right there. And now you follow this up, losing 3 of 4 to Kansas City. I don't know what the positives are for the White Sox after 39 games, 40 games.
Lucas Giolito's a positive because he's the one who got the win in this series.
But team positive.
But 27 runs by the Royals in this 4-game set. 13 by the White Sox. That's an ass whooping. 3 out of 4, yeah, that's, you could tell that they won the games. There weren't squeakers in there except for today. The Royals put it on the White Sox. A big time win on Monday, lost on Tuesday, big time win on Wednesday, and then walk them off right there with the bunt, which I saw happening, before it happened. I was like, they're going to bunt here, a suicide squeeze. They did a safety squeeze there. There's nothing that Reynaldo Lopez could do there unless he throws it high and, sees that the guy swings through the bunt and maybe he gets the guy coming down third base. But, don't put the first guy on. We're maybe working with something a little better. And Matt Duffy, he had him down. In the pitch before the single, Matt Duffy was late on a fastball. I wanted a slider off the plate there because, yes, he was late, but you threw in the same exact area he was late on the pitch. And, of course, again, he was late on 100 miles per hour, but he got enough of that ball just to drive it to right field and send Prado from first to third and to set up that situation. So, yeah, it's not a good thing. It's not that they're just getting beat by a little bit by quality teams. They got housed by the Royals, who before this had 9 wins. Coming into this series, had 9 damn wins and feasted on the White Sox. It seems like when they see the White Sox colors, like, it's time to eat. It's time to see exactly what we do. Like, they won the season series last year in 2022. They won the season series in 2021 when the White Sox were actually good. And now the Royals are just like, we're just waiting until we see the White Sox, and then we'll start playing ball.
The Kansas City special has gone macro, right?
Oh, my God.
It went from one hit that Hawk always commented on to now it's just the Kansas City special is they play really well against the White Sox every single year.
Well, I find it interesting that the guy who was there for 10-plus years is hired by the White Sox, and when he comes in, he kind of says, we know when they weren't ready to play, right? And they were 10-9 against the White Sox last time. And when they were on, they were one of the toughest teams to beat. Now you see them lose 3 of 4 to the Royals team that doesn't have Pedro Grifol, went in a completely different direction, are rebuilding, have a 12-27 record. Like, what does it say about the White Sox? Is it the talent level at this point? Because that's really what I'm thinking about. Because Reynaldo Lopez, yeah, the stuff is great, but the results are horrible. We're going to talk about Lance Lynn later. The resume might be great, but the results have been horrible. Andrew Benintendi, the resume might have been great. He might have that first-round pedigree, but the results have been horrible. Elvis Andrus, same thing. Lenyn Sosa, he started hitting fly balls. Yay, they're all outs. He doesn't have a pedigree, too, so not to bag Lenyn. That's just poor roster construction and depth and injuries. But what do we make of Pedro having those comments and then them returning to Kansas City and losing 3 of 4 to a rebuilding team?
I think what you make of it, you have to remember, they didn't hire Pedro Grifol to beat the Royals. I mean, they hired Pedro Grifol so to get this White Sox team to the top of the division standings. And right now, they're 1 game away from being at the very bottom of the division standings. He was brought in to take this collection of players and help them realize their potential. You talk about what is it? Is it a talent gap? That kind of thing. I think White Sox fans probably pretty sick of hearing the word talent because this roster is full of talent, but what is it turning into, right? I mean, you just ran through a bunch of guys who aren't living up to their resume. How about a bunch of guys who aren't living up to the talent, right? And, there's guys having fine performances today. Luis Robert Jr. comes up with a big hit. Andrew Vaughn had a couple of hits. That's great.
Yasmani.
But guess what?
Benintendi.
But guess what? Like, the guy who started for the Royals today came in with an ERA over 8. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, if you have done your job in getting this team back to where it was quote unquote supposed to be, it should be doing more than scoring 1 run off of Brady Singer, right? I mean, it's just team wide. They can't really do anything right. Mike Clevenger today was fine.
Well, we've always said that if a fifth starter is going out and giving you 6 innings and 3 earned runs, that should put you in a position to win.
Absolutely.
They were in a position to win.
Especially when you're going up against the pitching staff that has helped this team contribute to this team, the Royals, being one of the worst teams in baseball. I mean, the truth of the matter is right now that through almost a month and a half here, the White Sox have a pitching staff that has contributed to them being one of the worst teams in baseball.
Indeed.
So really, the Royals should have been expected to do a little better as well. It's nothing. I mean, you say, what can we make of this White Sox team right now? The vastness of the underperforming, it's hard to even really understand right now, because we spent all offseason being like, well, they can't have last year happen again. They can't have last year happen again. They're 13 games under 500.
Worse. And think about the pitchers the Royals threw out there. Zach Greinke's got a 5+ ERA. They're throwing Brad Keller, who absolutely sucked yesterday. But
we were talking about sending him down at some point last year.
Yes. Vinnie said, the man today, Brady Singer, almost a 9 ERA coming in today's game. And then they let Jordan Lyles pitch a complete game versus them. That man's got a 6 ERA. They scored 13 runs off of that team that threw out those 4 pitchers. That is piss poor. I get the bad pitching. It's been horrendous. But the hitting, you got to pick your team up every once in a while, and they really haven't picked this team up. We got the 17 runs against the Reds. Congratulations. But this was a time to feast. Most White Sox fans, even the most pessimistic White Sox fans, like, we're going to Kansas City facing those pitchers with that lineup? 3 out of 4, it looks easy. I said a split would be good for the White Sox because I know the White Sox play shit versus the Royals. Man, I can't even get that. They got housed. They got killed by the Kansas City Royals. I'm actually kind of rooting for them to continue on this track because change may happen. Change might happen if it's embarrassingly bad. Last year was just mediocre, and maybe that's fine for the upper management and for the owner. Being really bad, only having the Oakland A's being decidedly the only team that is worse than you right now. Only the Oakland A's, because the Kansas City Royals just housed you. So they're not worse than you, even though the record says so. The Oakland A's, when we play them, I'm sure they'll do the same, especially if it's in Oakland.
And I understand that Houston might be struggling, but, I mean, they're still Houston. Then you have Cleveland, and we know how good of a organization they are for 3 games. The team that just housed you, they're coming to your town for 3 days. And then you get to face Cleveland again. And then, the break is Detroit. Oh, they're second in the AL Central right now.
But here's the thing.
It's just like,
Those are terrible teams.
But my point is, stop doing that.
Yeah,
just stop, because what's the point, right? They just played 4 games against the Royals and they lost 3 of them. So what's the point of being like, oh, well, let's see where the schedule picks up and where it doesn't? It's like, just win any game.
I agree.
Right now.
No. My point is just like, after a series like this, there's no way you can have confidence looking at the schedule because, like,
when you go to play the A's, that's it.
Right. But even then, like, can you? Like
they're really bad.
Not in Oakland.
They are really bad. But the White Sox are really bad too.
That they are.
They're just as bad as they're not as bad. They're as bad as the Royals.
They're worse than the Royals.
I mean, they were this week. They're one game better than them.
Just like Baltimore last year, if you looked at those 4 games and you said one of these teams is supposed to be competing for the Central title, the other one's supposed to be a bottom feeder, you would say the White Sox are the bottom feeder. Kansas City is supposed to be competing because they played as such. The White Sox, I don't know if they didn't care, were disinterested, because, they have more talent than the Royals. But after saying that time and time again, maybe they don't. Maybe they're just bad at baseball, and all these guys are this. Like, every single one of them, they're posting their numbers. Like, Lucas is back to being Lucas, and all the rest of them are being who they've been. And maybe they are just bad, and we've been fed a bunch of garbage that they're supposed to be talented, but they're not.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. That tweet that you sent out earlier today on our CHGO White Sox account of our WRC plus numbers per position, right? I'll be honest, I was surprised at how many the White Sox had that were above average. I think the point that you were trying to make is look how many of these are below average.
Well,
but given the results so far this year, I'm surprised that Luis Robert Jr. was so above where everybody else is supposed to be, that Eloy Jimenez had helped it become an above average at DH. I know above average is not what you're shooting for, but when you're 13 games under 500, it's certainly what becomes the new expectation, right? Just be a little bit better than plain.
Right, and the thing is, I mean, the reason I really did tweet it was because I was being petty. Just because, as Dave, who responded on Twitter, said, Vaughn hasn't been great, but still wondering why the rush by fans to replace him. I mean, I just, like, there's so many things that you can complain about with this White Sox roster. Luis Robert, even though we were disagreeing about his plate approach and what he said to the media in Kansas City was baffling, he's still been very consistent. Andrew Vaughn has been very consistent. Benintendi has gotten on base. I'll say that. I
will continue to push back on your Benintendi hate because I don't think it makes sense. You're mad that he's not hitting home runs. He wasn't paid to hit home runs.
He's played as, but he's been.
I think your thing is misplaced. It's for Rick Hahn, not for the player.
Yes, and we'll get to that in a second. But again, like going through this, catcher, their weighted runs created plus is 87, league average 94. Yasmani got hurt today. That's concerning, but I don't know if it's a super concerning injury because it was a hamstring pull. He seemed to be fine, caught a couple innings, and then came out and hit, and then ran to first and pulled up. I think that it could be something that could possibly be worked on and worked out. I don't know if you have heightened concern about Yasmani. I mean, we saw that now Carlos Perez is on the roster. There's 3 catchers.
As I told you like 2 weeks ago, and I think you thought I was putting this out in the atmosphere to jinx the White Sox. As soon as the White Sox get players back, which they should be getting back on Friday, they'll have other people replacing them, like Yasmani Grandal and other people. Well, we don't know if Yaz is going to go on the IL, but he has a slight hamstring right now. So it's, get the good guys back, then somebody else goes down. It's just their lot in life. Now, some can say, what are they doing to have these players go off the field so many times, so often? I don't know. But this is what happens when you're a White Sox. It's you're 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And I'm not too concerned with them. Sebi's been good at catching. That's all I want catchers to do is to catch the ball. Yasmani, I need him to catch the ball a little bit better. His bat has been actually pretty decent. I need him to hit for a little bit more power. But, yeah, losing Yasmani I don't think will be a huge deal because he's not necessarily driving the ball like he did back in 2021. He's doing fine, but his bat is not that great.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no other concerns, I would just push back just because, I mean, we saw the double today. Would have been a home run in Kauffman Stadium, funnily enough.
Guaranteed rate.
Well, the weather, if it's usually perfect conditions. So, I'm assuming the rain or weather.
We're assuming that it was blown held in by the wind.
It was like inches
Wrigley
away
style.
from being a homer.
He thought it was a homer. He dropped the bat like it was.
No, I think Grandal's injury is probably in line with what he's been dealing with what we've heard from Pedro when it comes to the back spasms. The thing that made me raise my eyebrow a little bit, again, I'm not trying to diagnose anybody with anything, but he runs the bases to second base. He gets to second base. We know Yasmani is not the fleetest of foot, but when he comes out and takes the next at bat, gets the single, I mean, it seemed that his body was making it so he could only really walk to first base. And even though Yasmani is not a fast baseball player, he is someone who at least jogs, makes it. He runs even if he doesn't run fast, right? And here it seemed like he went to run and something happened and he just couldn't make it to first base, and that is a problem. It's also a problem when you got to catch, and it makes me wonder. Remember, we heard from Pedro about Eloy and his legs. We saw Eloy struggling to run around the bases. How many guys on this team right now are going to, your desire is to have their bat in the lineup on a daily basis because they can hit, but they better hit the ball out of the park or to somewhere where they can easily get to first base, or else they're not going to be able to run the bases.
Well, and I push back, too, on Yasmani just because right now his slugging percentage is 426, and that's what it was around 2020. I mean, it was around 422. So, he's not back at 2021 yet hitting home runs, but that also didn't come until later in the year. Yeah. What we've talked about with Yasmani Grandal, if he's out there and playing games, that successful. He's an above average hitter right now. He's hitting for doubles, not home runs. Like, out of all of the fucking players on the team, that's the point that I was trying to make with the tweet was like, Yasmani's been good, and if he is out, like, you're going to see more Sebi and Carlos Perez. Perez had a nice hit against Chapman, but I don't know if that's sustainable. At first base, 114 compared to 110. Vaughn hasn't been great, but he's been at least average. Second base, a 29 rated runs created plus, 91 is the position average. Again, consistent issues at second base for this team. It's due to probably Tim Anderson's health and Elvis Andrus having to move over and Lenin Sosa getting called up. At shortstop, 64 weighted runs created plus. League position average is 95. Tim Anderson hasn't hit a home run since May 22nd of 2022. Third base has been great, but two of them are injured in Jake Berger and Yohan Moncada, a 141 weighted runs created plus, but Hanser Alberto has filled the shoes fine. 94 is league average. Right field, 75 weighted runs created plus, 99 is league average. Colas obviously being sent down. Center field, 120 for the White Sox, 106 is league average. And then Benintendi in left field, 70, league average 105. So even Benintendi, he hasn't been himself. His weighted runs created plus is like 79. Like, he's not, it's not even about the home runs at this point. Like, he just makes very poor contact, and it's consistently to the left side. Like, I just don't think that he is seeing pitches like he used to. That might change, but right now the issues are the same issues it's been. It's the corner positions, and it's the middle it's the second base.
Here's a question for you. You went through that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are there only 3 positions in Major League Baseball that have a WRC plus where 100 is average?
4
that are above average?
Center field, left field, DH, first
Oh,
base.
DH counts. So there you go. But
and
like,
right field is 99. So
like,
I mean, that's basically average.
Right. But like, what's with like so you're saying basically the majority of shortstops in baseball are below average hitters or run producers?
Yeah,
so
well,
far.
like second base is probably a better example at 91. Like second
Right, but
base,
that's what I'm saying is that shortstop was under 100.
Yeah, 95.
Right field was
Right,
under
well,
100. Third base was under 100.
And that's why Manny Machado and Dansby Swanson and, Carlos Correa
Get the big paydays,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
I mean, and that's why Tim Anderson should be hitting home runs.
And
if
I
he
wanna-
hits 20 home runs, he'll get paid very handsomely.
My guy Dan from the 219, I love you usually, and I see you said forget process over results. That's 2021. That's 2021. Like, when we've just looked, oh man, we got a good result because we won the division. We ignored all the process that went into that. We ignored all the hard work that went into it and said 2022, we're going to do the same thing. And that's what happened. Yes, I got it. The results of wins are what you want. But this is what happens when you skip over the parts of process, when you actually develop the talent that's on the major league roster. You get under average players. We're not asking for a lot. You said 91 is the weighted runs created plus 4. A second baseman, they're at 26. We're not asking for the best second baseman in the league. We're asking for league average at second base,
which is still below average.
Exactly. And so, like, the process has to happen for the results to be favorable. You can run into results every once in a while and have some good success. We've seen that throughout life. But imagine, like, what happens after the results are good if you didn't have a solid foundation to stand on. You fall off the table and you get 13 and 26 records. Well, and that's what you get.
And Herb, I'm not going to go in and say that the White Sox didn't do whatever number of things, but what you're saying is what the goal of this rebuilding project was. The goal of the rebuilding project was specifically to not have a team that just went out and won a division and then was bad again just because, hey, look, we were able to put one good team together and then it falls apart. Mm-hmm. The goal of the rebuilding project from the beginning was to make something sustainable, to make a thing where the process yielded results for years and years and years and years and years. And that's very far away from happening right now. Obviously different people have different definitions of the timeline of when you can call time of death on a rebuilding project, I guess. But even if you are someone like me who's the most generous in that regard, they're 13 games below 500. Mm-hmm. They won a division 2 years ago, and they've done exactly what Rick Hahn didn't want to do, which was go up, win a division, and go immediately right back down.
Yeah, and plummet, really, at this point. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll get into more stats, talk about Lance Lynn, and talk about the return of Jose Abreu. Want to let you know, though, about Game Time, Herb used Game Time in Cincinnati, Kansas City, Atlanta, Chicago. It works
Everywhere.
all around the 50s.
Nationwide.
I don't know if Toronto. I'm going to Toronto in July, so we'll see if it works in
Internationally.
But buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Vinny just scooped up Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweat concert tickets on Game Time.
It's
and
true.
They have killer deals on last-minute tickets. Vinny got them in advance, but hey, if you're looking for last-minute tickets to go see Jose Abreu's return tomorrow, they have a best price guarantee. You could stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun or all the booing that you'll have.
Who would boo Jose Abreu?
You pay for a ticket, you can do whatever you want.
No.
You must not watch Ted Lasso.
I'm also not saying boo Jose Abreu. Maybe you're just booing. Maybe you just want to boo.
Yeah, but why would you boo Jose Abreu? There was no reason to do that.
Again,
if you want to boo Wilson Contreras or you're a Cub fan, that makes sense. That man trashed on the way out. Jose Abreu's all class.
I could go boo the hot dog vendor. I'm just saying. I bought a ticket.
That's just mean.
It is.
That guy has to buy all his hot dogs and then sell them back. That's how vendors work.
What?
You didn't know that?
No,
that's how vending works in a stadium.
Yeah.
They make the vendor buy all the things that they have to sell, and then they have to go sell them.
So, like, do they get a better? They're not buying them
If they
for like
sold-
$6 a hot dog, right? It's
They probably
like they're
sell it
buying for
under
like a
under
buck a-
market,
Yeah.
and then they sell it for the price that's on the little machine or whatever they have.
Game Time's just trying to help you out. Snag the tickets without the stress.
And by the way,
of
I can
Game
get them
Time.
in Toronto too.
Oh, look
I
at
just
that,
checked it out.
Snag the tickets without the stress of Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create your account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This is for the second ad break. I will need a second reader for ComEd. Just
Right
a heads
now?
up. No.
Oh,
no,
you're
no, no.
you're foreshadowing for later in the program.
Because I didn't
Gotcha.
communicate pre-show.
All right.
It's a beautiful sunny day out in Chicago, and you could take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventure, and that's not all. Shady Rays has the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they tell us that they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Try for yourself these shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades at shadyrays.com. We do have... Oh, hey, look at Marcus Bueno. That's what you were pointing at. I thought you were pointing at the super chat, and I was like, I'll get to that. No, Marco saying, thank you, CHGO, for the Shady Rays I'm wearing today on this bright day. Not so much bright future for this Sox team, though. Shrug. Thank you, Marcos, for that comment.
Great song by Tim Buck 3.
Shady Rays. Future so bright.
Gotta wear shades.
Baby. It's about a nuclear apocalypse.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I just was just jamming off to it.
So is
War,
99 Red Balloons.
Yes,
is
it
it?
is.
Yes.
You guys are teaching out here.
Yeah.
Did you know that, and you probably know this, Vinny, did you know that the German song, the German version,
99 Luftballons.
99
Yeah.
Luftballons topped the charts here in the States, and the English version topped the charts in Germany.
Huh. The German language version, I think, is the superior version.
100%.
It is.
But Germans would say the American version's better.
Oh.
Just
Wow.
like the Der Kommissar is the best version of that song in German.
Absolutely.
Don't turn around.
Uh-oh.
Der Kommissar's in town.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's go to the super chat. And sorry, Husky Bardo, for not getting this earlier. Can you ask Rick tomorrow if he still thinks he should be the GM still? I feel like he should be pressured instead of softball questions. He did mention that he'd step down, I think, last year at some point if he felt like he wasn't doing his job well enough. I don't think that Rick Hahn is going to willingly step down from his general manager position, where there are only one of 30 in Major League Baseball.
And I get what you're saying, Husky, and I get the frustration. I'm there too. But what is that question going to elicit from Rick? No. Next question. And it's going to have ire for Rick towards that person who asked the question. So I get it. But yeah, do you think that you're good at your job? Yeah. What's he going to say? No. Or should I be here? No. Like, that question's going to be a quick answer and then brushed off, and then he's going to go to somebody else's question. And I get it. I hear it. But these are professionals. Vinny's a professional. All the people in the media are professionals. They're trying to do their job, and Vinny's not here with pom-poms. He's not a cheerleader. That's why I'm not at the game. I would say maybe some dumb stuff like that. And I'm not saying your question's dumb, but it's more coming from a fan's perspective instead of a journalist's perspective, where they're trying to get real answers, and they could ask that question in a more elegant way without being kind of dickish, if you got what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Well, and I mean, I'll just inform you whether you're happy with the results or not. The last time we talked to Rick, a large chunk of it was about his job status and how he thought, he was accepting blame for what was a very poor most of the first month of the season. Those were the talking points in that media session. Maybe the idea is you want to see a full transcript and you want to see exactly what was asked and how, but Herb's right. Obviously, we have to craft those questions in a way that we think is going to get the answer that you guys want to your questions. And the last time we were out there were a lot of questions about his job status, and he talked a lot about his job status, which I would never think would be something that somebody would want to do from my experience. I'm not trying to credit him. I think this is maybe something that everybody should be expected to talk about in these roles, but we've kind of gotten used to the fact that hearing people talk about their culpability and their potential to be fired is abnormal, and he waded into those waters the last time out, and so there you go. It's not like he's not thinking about it. It's not like it's all news to him that there are consequences to go along with the kind of performance that this team has had so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys aren't wrong to have those feelings either. I mean,
Right.
Le Chatelain is right in saying what qualifies Rick Hahn versus the rest of the league's GM. We've talked about this stat. Since 2013, they have the 26th best win percentage in Major League Baseball. Their minor league has the 30th best, which is what's it called? Contradiction, the 30th best. They have the worst winning percentage in their minor leagues. And overall, I think they're 637 games, under 500 as an organization since 2013. You guys all are talking about talk to me after the parade. As you guys know, there hasn't been a parade just yet. Go read Vinny's article, though, from the 27th. That was the last time Rick Hahn spoke, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
And this is a pretty, this is a comment that, quote, put it on me. That's the job. It's absolutely the gig. Put it on me. Ultimately, it's the players who play the game, and when they don't achieve at that level we've projected, they certainly bear a level of responsibility for that. But at the end of the day, the people who put the players on the roster, put them on the field, are the ones who bear the responsibility if that group doesn't achieve. That's on me. When you said who's responsible for that, I said me. I think that makes it clear that my job is potentially on the line.
Yeah, here's the thing. That's the answer you want, but also it's not. Because the thing you want to hear Rick Hahn say is, I quit. Right. I'm being serious. That's what will satisfy the people who are overly frustrated about this. Mm-hmm. That is unlikely to happen. And so here's a guy saying that the players aren't playing well, and so it's on them, but I put the players on there, so it's on me. This is what happens in sports, is sometimes you get fired when things don't happen. That's what he said. What more do you want him to say other than the unrealistic thing, I quit?
I think literally people are picturing, and we're going to use you as an example.
The royal you.
No, you.
Oh, me specifically. Okay.
Vinnie Duber. I once watched this match on Friday Night SmackDown. It's a wrestling program from World Wrestling Entertainment.
Talking to me like I'm old.
There was a Chavo Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio match. It was an I Quit match. And Rey Mysterio had his leg in a precarious situation. He was bent over the turnbuckle. Chavo was standing up on top of him, hitting his knee with a steel chair over and over again.
I bet you felt that pain too.
And I did. And Rey Mysterio was crying. He was squirming all around. And the ref's like, "Do you quit?" And he's like, "I quit. I quit." I'm just picturing you as Chavo Guerrero and Rick Hahn in that precarious position, smashing his knee with the proverbial questions of
Why would
steel
he be
chair.
doing it?
Well, that's quite the metaphor.
Because he's a part of the media. But I literally think that people just want Rick Hahn to be like, "I quit," in front of a microphone.
Here's the thing. And here's the thing, too. Herb, you alluded to it. People want us, people with my job, the few of us who are there talking to these guys every day, to act like they would, which which is why you're also mad that Sox Fest got canceled, because you wanted to go up in front of a microphone and yell at somebody for not doing what in your eyes is a very good job, or is objectively not a very good job, right? Mm-hmm. That's not what we do. We don't do that. We try to get information, and if we are going to get that information, we can't be yelling at people, and you know what I mean? I'm not saying we have to go up there and be nice. Yeah. Our job is not to be nice to these people, but our job is to get information. And so because you want that information, you want that insight, you want to know what's going on in the front office right now, what they're thinking over at 35th and Shields. So we're going to try to ask the questions that get that information from them. Yeah. Because if we go up there and be like, hey, your team is so bad and we think it's all your fault, what do you have to say for yourself? Like, we're not getting that information. Right?
I'm terrible. Bye.
We're not getting that information. And so, yeah.
And I thought it was not a contentious press conference that you guys last time. Yeah. It was a real, and you saw on Rick's face that man was taking it serious. And you guys know me. I don't like Rick Hahn's job here. I think he's over his head and he has done a poor job. But he, like you, is a fan of this team, and he knows that he hasn't done this job correctly. So yes, he feels it, but he's not taking accountability, because the people that take accountability for him are Kenny Williams, who would also get fired, and
he's upset.
And Jerry Reinsdorf, who's never getting fired. So yes, I get it. Just get it out your mind that he's gonna be fired, or he's gonna resign himself, or something else like that. This won't happen. Just go with you could still talk shit about him, say that the man didn't do his job. I mean, I tried not to be personal, but sometimes it doesn't happen. But you got to realize that Rick Hahn feels this pain like you feel this pain, probably more because it's his actual job, and he won't be getting a job after this if it's 13-26 projected out to a full season. No one's going to be hiring him to do this same job somewhere else.
Can I interject real quick, too?
Yeah.
Rick Hahn made the hire of Pedro Grifol, too. So, again, it is his team, right? Like, he deserves accountability. And remember, the White Sox have no problem with accountability. The one question I would like to ask is, Rick Hahn is just, what is the relationship with Jerry Reinsdorf like? I mean, like, how present is Jerry? Because, I mean, that's the one person that's going to control Rick Hahn's destiny, is either Kenny or Jerry, whoever holds that trust. And
I'm sure it's good.
Right. I do, too. But Pedro said, and this is from James Fegan, Pedro Grifol was not pleased post-game, said, quote, we got outplayed, and that the team, quote, lacked urgency, close quote, in this series. Quote, that starts with me, close quote, Grifol said, to be clear. Kind of goes back to the thing I brought up is, you could kind of tell, the Royals could tell when the White Sox weren't going to show up. If the team's, Grifol saying we got outplayed and that they lacked urgency, that's exactly what the problem was last year. Nothing got fixed. And Rick Hahn, again, said, like, we got to prove it by winning. They haven't won. He understands the state that this team's in. You understand the state that the team's in. They're bad at baseball right now.
Thank you, Mr. C. No one gets fired.
Well, I'm just to your point, Herb. Well, I mean, obviously,
Ricky Renteria got fired.
Here's another thing. Here's another thing that fans never like hearing, and it's the line from both players and managers, plural, past. It's these guys aren't going out there trying to screw up, right? Everybody right now, not everybody, folks in the chat and plenty of people on Twitter and people you talk to will say they lied to us. They told us these guys were going to be good, and they're not good. What's going on? How did this happen?
I say that a lot.
It's because Rick Hahn thought Eloy Jimenez was going to be good. Rick Hahn thought Luis Robert Jr. was going to be good. He thought that the collection of these players was going to be a collection of players that would win and win big. And so when Herb says, of course, Rick Hahn is feeling this as much, if not more than you. He put this together. He thought it was going to go one way, and he's got a lot more information than everybody else does to indicate that it was going to go in a positive direction for the team and himself who put this team together. He is not seeing that. And so I can guarantee you that he is more frustrated and upset about this than anybody else, because he was the guy who had your dream job to put the team together, to be at the wheel, right? He finally got it, and the car's not going anywhere. If anything, it's going backwards. And he's just got to be sitting there, just mad as all hell. I can guarantee you.
And that's the thing is, he brought up in that thing, we're feeling every emotion in the book, ranging from rage to disappointment. At the end of the day, we have to win. That's that's the way we're going to earn this back. We could sit here and talk about how it's early. We can sit here and talk all about these other teams that had rough start, but it's still turned it around and even won World Series after those rough starts. But in the end, it's not going to matter until we start winning ball games, which they haven't. And Rick is, I feel like this is the less lawyery speak that we've heard from Rick Hahn, just because, again, like, the team is bad. There's no way around this. If they continue to lose games, it is very likely that in a normal baseball organization, he would lose his job. I just don't think that this is a normal baseball organization.
And we're talking about people talking about results. And like Vinnie just said, like, he thought that Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, etc. would be good. But the process of getting them good, I think they skipped a couple steps. On keeping them on the field, they've skipped a couple steps. And so this is what they get. They are good, and he knows. I mean, we all thought with the talent that they have, like last year, beginning of the year, we're 95 wins. We're like, they're going to win everything. Even this year, after everything that Rick didn't do and Kenny didn't do in the offseason, still we're like, this division sucks. They can win this, throwing their jocks out there if everybody stays healthy. But I don't think he did the process right of, let's develop this talent. Let's make sure that the talent from Luis Robert goes from A to B to C. Same thing with Eloy all the way through. And it hasn't happened. That's on Rick for not putting in a organizational thing that says, this is what the White Sox do. This is how we develop talent. This is how guys go from this point to this point to that point. And we've seen it with this guy, that guy, that guy. But we haven't seen that anywhere. No. Like, there's barely been anybody that's progressed to the guy that they're supposed to be.
TA.
That's it.
But even then, I mean, he's struggled for the last year.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying, you're talking about who's going to come up and then go this way, go up. And he absolutely has. But you're right. All these other guys, where these guys were can't miss prospects, and they are struggling mostly to stay on the field, but struggling to become those players.
That's the thing is, I mean, since 2021, they have a 71% win percentage when the 5 players play with each other.
Yeah.
When they don't, they have they're 72 and 169. Like, they have a 50% win percentage when those players don't play. What?
You said play with each other.
Oh, my God.
I'm 12.
My bad.
Even though I'm 44.
But, yeah, I mean, it's a team that he's not wrong that the talent is talented. It's just the talent's never there on the damn field.
Nope. If I don't find
Yasmani
jokes,
Grandal's hurt. Yeah. Eloy's on the IL. Moncada might be coming back to start the series. But, again, like, there's no consistency and there's no
We're in a terrible cycle. A terrible cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and then when the rest of the team doesn't play well on top of it, you get 13 games below 500.
Your analysis concise. No bullpen, no hitting, no defense.
Absolutely.
It's tough to win.
Well, and here I want to go to a couple things. Let's take a quick break. Let's go to ComEd. Let's chat about our
I can do the part 2 if you want me to.
Program.
Let's see.
Why don't you both do it? Why don't you take it sentence by sentence?
Like in
I'll
harmony?
We'll do 3 readers. I'll read the first sentence. Herb, you read the second sentence. Vinny, you have the third sentence.
Of the second
this
reader?
is just confusing as all get out.
Well,
how about me and Herb do this?
Okay, go ahead, Vinny.
You want me to be reader 1?
I'll do reader 2.
All right. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy uses and lower energy bills right now and into the future.
Yeah. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades, commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across the territory. ComEd also delivers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, and industrial processes.
Herb, this sounds absolutely incredible, but how does it work?
I'm glad you asked that, Vinny. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually if you don't like people in your house, and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple playback. If you own a business, Sean, don't wait. This is the CTA.
Should I do it immediately?
You shouldn't. Not yet.
Oh.
Get started saving money and energy today. For energy-saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to comed.com/poweringbiz.
Herb, I'm a little hard of hearing. Did you say comed.com/poweringbiz, spelled B-I-Z?
Yes.
I don't know how I'd be able to hear you say a spelling, but that's what I think it says on this thing.
Yes, Vinny, you should schedule it today. As you say, immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, I was about to say, should I go to comment.com/poweringbiz immediately? But thanks for setting up Vince.
You should go to comediolcheck.com.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's do some quick hitters.
Seattle Kraken play-by-play guay or color guy.
Yeah.
That's who he is.
Former Blackhawk, right?
No, just Seattle Kraken. That's what he's known as.
Yeah, we don't have a bobblehead of him in a Blackhawks uniform.
Nope, just the Kraken guy.
All right, so we kind of just on the whole offense being stinky, Rick Hahn talk. I want to get into a couple things, quick hitters. We'll talk a little bit about Lance. We'll talk a little bit about Jose's return, and then we'll wrap this up. So Rick Hahn made that comment at the trade deadline. Ball goes far, team goes far.
Yep.
Since that comment, August 3rd to this date, there are, I believe, 11 teams without 100 home runs in Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Are the White Sox one of them?
Yes.
Okay, that's correct.
That was nice, yes.
There are also 4 other American League Central teams in this.
Every team in the American League Central?
Yes.
Wow.
Where do the White Sox rank in that stat out of American League Central?
Ooh. They're 4th.
4th.
I say. Guardians hit a bunch of home runs.
That's a good question. Usually I can go from context on this and say they're probably last, but I'll Price is Right, Herb, and say 5th.
Damn it.
Okay. You're right.
4th? Ahead of the...
You're also completely wrong about the Guardians. The Guardians are the worst team in baseball at hitting home runs since August 3rd. The White Sox have the most home runs since August 3rd out of teams that don't have 100. So there's 18 other teams that have 100 home runs.
So he was not right.
I'm not.
They're first.
I was 4th.
Yeah, they're first.
He won the competition,
He won the competition.
but they were first.
Yeah,
oh,
okay.
okay.
Competition.
Gotcha.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
so
I won. Price is Right.
They have 99. The Diamondbacks have 95th. Minnesota has 95. Pittsburgh has 93. Kansas City has 91. Oakland has 90. Colorado 86. Cincinnati 85. Miami 80. Detroit 77. Washington 77. Cleveland 64.
What's the opposite of steel sharpening steel?
Rock.
Rain rusting steel.
Yeah, something, because that's what the AL Central is doing right now. As I said in my tweet, if the White Sox were in the AL East, they only be now 8.5 games behind the Yankees, who are in last place.
Yeah, well, and I saw that too. Like the Yankees are currently in 5th place and like 8 games out of first place. I know the White Sox are like 8.5 games out, but still, like I mean, the AL Central is just pathetic. You just be good at baseball. Like it's as simple as that for the White Sox.
And it's not
be good at baseball, and you might make the playoffs.
And it's
that's
not a
4% chance.
Coincidence that all the AL East is good when the schedule gets balanced, because every team has to compete with every other team, and the same with the AL Central. We just compete with the people in our division, which we haven't played well, and so we're at the level of those guys instead of being at the level of the Astros, the Yankees, the Rays, and etc. teams at the top of the AL league. And so that's what we're doing. We're competing with people who are terrible instead of competing with the top of the league. And that's the fault of Kenny and Rick to keep us in this middling position. Now we're just hella bad. God, never thought the White Sox would be this bad. I don't think anybody did.
They've been horrible to watch. We talked about this on the pregame show. We'll get to Lance Lynn in a second. We'll get to Jose Abreu returning. We'll get to Moncada returning. But Luis Robert had this quote on Plate Approach, and this is from Scott Merkin. Quote, honestly, I just checked the speed of the pitches that the pitcher has. The pitcher I'm facing that day has. There is too much information that I don't like to look at. To me, the simpler the better. The quote continues, once you're at home plate, you can't be thinking of all that stuff. You have to be thinking the pitcher, what pitch, and the speed of that pitch he has, nothing more than that. Herb and I got frustrated, but I did a little bit more research, and I found this from a James Fegan article from Jose Castro when he got hired. Quote, the numbers are there, the analytics, and we use them. But once you step into the batter's box, it's about competing. We already planned for this starting pitcher. We've seen his stuff. We know what the stuff does. Now we have a plan, and we step in that box, and we compete. I'm not going it's going to be more numbers detailed, and when it comes to pitch movement, I'm sure guys will be really quick to it and not some. We just have to help them out, and that's what we're here for. I am less mad at the Robert quote just because it is kind of what Jose Castro might be telling him. So I don't really mind the quote as much. I know we kind of blew up a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, Luis Robert has had consistent results. And it seems like even though it might be frustrating to hear, the results have been consistent. Him and Andrew Vaughn, the results have been consistent. And what we heard is it might take a month or so for these changes in the offseason to start working out. It seems like for Vaughn and Robert, it seems like they might be settling in because Andrew Vaughn's been hot, Robert's been hot. So at least credit where credit is due. Those two players have been hitting well.
I mean, Robert, I don't know if I would use the word consistent to describe Luis Robert, considering that slump that he was in was extended.
Been red hot since Cincinnati.
But, well, that's only a week. But
And he went 0 for 4 yesterday with 4 strikeouts.
But let's put it this way. I don't think that him just saying I don't prefer to have all that information in my head is a bad thing. I think there are people who do things different ways. And if your way of having success is to keep it simple, stupid, right? If your way of success is to just go up there and hack and it works, then go right ahead and do that, right? Not, Sean, we can look at it in a much less athletic way, right? You love delving into all those numbers, and I say more power to you. I'm somebody who doesn't go as deep into the more heady stat kind of stuff, right? But hey, we still watch baseball and we still can make our takeaways from it. I think that also applies to guys who hit, guys who pitch, whatever. Some guys want every last shred of stuff because they're like, okay, well, I know the ball's going to break this little bit, and I know that and he's going to be able to put it exact on the sweet spot. And some other guy goes, and the ball goes out of the park. So that alone is not a negative for Luis Robert Jr. What I would be interested in learning, and I asked this to Jose Castro. He said that Luis Robert Jr. is someone who takes coaching well, but I would like to know, is this a case of them saying, oh, I think this will help you, and him just going, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I know how to do this already. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but when we see that communication breakdown that happened with him and Pedro, when we see a guy whose approach did not seem to change from an anecdotal visual standpoint from when he was swinging at everything last year to when during that slump he was swinging at everything this year, even in the World Baseball Classic we were noticing that, and it just makes me go, what is he doing to adjust? Because that's what baseball is. That game of adjustments where, okay, this isn't working, well, then I need to do something different. Is he just going, oh, well, it'll all work eventually kind of thing, when it very clearly is not doing that? And what relationship does he have with the people who are trying to help him make those adjustments?
And what I was saying in the pregame is Luis Robert seems to me, with those quotes, satisfied with his career as such, how it's panned out right now. And he can be, and that's cool if he is. But I think he's much more than he has been. And so the progression is you're good, you're on a major league team, people talk about you all the time, but you're not an average player. You're not a 114 where the center 114 weighted runs created 120. Plus 120 weighted runs created plus guy. You're a 150 guy if you dedicate yourself to the craft. And yes, you don't want to be inundated with stats and all that extra stuff, but I can tell that you haven't taken the next step of spitting on the slider that's outside. You haven't taken the next step of pitch selection, of how the pitchers are approaching you and getting you out. You can crush a Aroldis Chapman ball down third baseline, or I forgot who pitched gave up the home run the other day on Tuesday.
Lyles.
Yeah, Jordan Lyles' ball. You could crush that. If it's right down the middle, you have that talent. But for Luis Robert specifically, he has generational talent that we haven't seen in a long time, especially on this team. And for him to just be a middling player or below average player or just an average or above average player is not good enough for me, because we all see what he has. He's a 5-tool player that's actually a 5-tool player, but he's not getting close to that. That's why I get frustrated with him, because I don't feel, is taking the craft seriously and understanding that, yes, I can hit any ball anywhere, I can catch any ball on the field, but that's not good enough. Good enough is being a Hall of Famer because you have that talent. Good enough is being up there with Mike Trout because you have that talent. Tell me he doesn't. Please, somebody tell me he doesn't. He has that talent, but he's satisfied with being a weighted runs created of 120, which is good. He's going to have a good career. But no, I like this. The line from A Bronx Tale is, what was it? The most sad thing in life is wasted potential.
The saddest thing in life is wasted talent.
Wasted talent. And he is wasting his talent right now. I believe that. And I'm holding him to the highest standard in baseball because he's that talented. And being good is good for everybody else, but he's not good. He's great. And he can get there by dedicating himself to not swinging at sliders outside of the zone, not getting struck out by fucking Jordan Lyles 4 times or whoever it was. Garbage pitchers. You're better than that. These people suck. You're on the top of the league. You should be better than you are right now. Good is not good enough for him.
You a big Bronx Tale guy, Steven?
I love that movie, yeah.
You knew that quote pretty
That is,
by heart.
it's sad. He's good. He should be great.
He's got nearly 2 WAR already. I think
He's
on
good
pace for like an 8 WAR season.
He should be great.
He might have the best. I mean, if he
Yeah, but
continues on this pace, he might have the highest WAR for any White Sox in a season.
Yeah, that's not good enough. He's better than any
Hall of Famers from this.
He's better than Whites. He's better than all those White. He's better than Frank Thomas at total WAR. He's a better player than Frank Thomas. He can be, but he doesn't want to be.
Well, you don't know that.
What? Well, the execution shows me he doesn't.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Criticize that because that's what's gone wrong.
Yeah.
Again, you might be right. Who knows? But I don't like to assume I know what's going on inside a guy's head or inside a guy's heart. But we can look to him failing to make certain adjustments, failing to get rid of some bad habits as a problem. Yes. And as something that is holding him back, like you're saying. At the very best, assuming that all his intentions are good, he is still failing to do those things.
Yes, right. And he's really good, and he might be the White Sox All-Star this year. Probably.
Yeah, he will. And I would love to see just a full, healthy Luis Robert Jr. And so far, we've seen that. I mean, like, there was the one blip where he wasn't communicating with Pedro, but it seems like he's learned from that. He had a quote to James just kind of saying, like, I know they're here to protect me. I don't know if he's going to pass Eddie Collins, though, who had a 9.4 WAR in 1915. I know we all remember it.
That's the team record?
Yeah, 9.4 from Eddie Collins, and because a 9 WAR season.
I watched Eddie Collins play every day when I was a child.
Herb, you're not that old. Okay, you're not that old, Herb.
I was like, man, this Eddie Collins is pretty decent, but Luis Robert, bad.
You were just sitting around listening to the German version of Der Kommissar and watching Eddie Collins.
It's like College Boy is good, but Luis is much better than College Boy.
Eddie Collins is the only one with a 9 WAR season for the White Sox. Dick Allen with an 8.6 in 1872, and Minnie Minoso with an 8.2.
Should be Hall of Famer Dick Allen. In his while he was live. God damn it,
it sucks. Well, going back to the Jose Castro thing, though, he did have one quote. We don't want the weak out, the weak contact when we're ahead in the count. Just coming into today, the White Sox, for poorly or weak contact on StatCast, rank where?
Out of 30 teams?
Yeah.
I would say 22.
In weak hits or weak
batted
ball events.
So number 1 has the most.
Yes.
The most weak hits.
643 weak hits is the leader.
And
there are, I think, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with 600 or more.
I would say, so they have the 5th most weak hits.
You think the White Sox have the 5th most weak hits?
In baseball.
I'll say second to the A's.
Second to the Nationals.
Oh, okay.
643 to 642.
Worse than the A's.
They're closing in. Benintendi as a player is 8th. Andrus is 14th. Vaughn's at 50th. Just for a little rundown there. All right. Final things. Will Lance Lynn be DFA'd?
No.
Who's taking over for him? Like, you could say he's been bad, and he has been hella terrible. But I believe he'll actually get better because his track record says so. And then secondly, even if you thought he's done and washed, who's taking over? Who's going to be the starting pitcher for Lance Lynn?
Also, he's the leader of that pitching staff. That would be a detrimental move to the rest of the team.
Jose Abreu returns tomorrow. Is this the biggest headline of the White Sox season so far?
Well, the biggest headline, the biggest positive headline? The biggest headline of the season so far is that they're 13 games under 500.
That's fair.
It's going to be good times tomorrow. I celebrate Jose Abreu in his whole career. It's one positive thing. I think the fans are going to go to the stadium tomorrow, and I hope it's packed on a Friday night. Beautiful weather. Well, it might rain. But Jose Abreu should get a standing ovation that lasts no less than 2-3 minutes because he did what he needed to do here as a White Sox. As one of the people that Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams have scouted and got here, he had a phenomenal White Sox career, and his number will be hanging up on the back, and he'll have a statue, all that stuff. You guys should give him the biggest. Oh, there he is. You should give him the biggest standing ovation of all time because he's one of these people who won an MVP. There's not a lot of them. Well, he deserves it. He deserves your ovation.
Yeah, and Sox fans are usually fantastic at this. I remember Mark Burley returning in with Toronto because I don't think he played with Miami here in Chicago. Toronto let him go out on the field by his own, and there goes Mark Burley, and he looks back, none of his teammates are there, and the White Sox fans are giving him a standing ovation. So hopefully it's a loud and proud one for Jose tomorrow. Yoan Moncada returning tomorrow.
He's got to be here to see Jose.
Absolutely. But is that confirmed, we think?
Well, it's what it sounds like. I believe the updates from the beat writers who are down in Kansas City said seems like he will be back tomorrow.
It's only be a positive because they've gotten good play from Hanser Abreu, but Yoan Moncada is a different level.
Yeah, and Jake Berger's been good as well. I mean, he's still on the IL. Again, White Sox third baseman have a 141 weighted runs created plus, and Moncada has been good, hitting some homers down in Charlotte in the rehab assignment, so hopefully his back's feeling nice and he can provide some well-needed defense and offense to this team.
I know you said it earlier, but I just want all these guys to be on the team at one time and just see what they can do. The record's good when they are all together, but, beggars can't be choosers. I'll take Yoan Moncada coming back and maybe Liam next week as a consolation prize because apparently Yasmani Grandal's hurt, so he might be going down. I don't know, but
I don't know how
having all these people
Eloy
back
would probably be
on
more
the
pressing.
team, that one too. That's like a month away.
Yeah.
Like having all these guys on the team and seeing what they can do will be the thing I'm looking forward to because this season's for me is cashed. So I'm looking for actual good games and them competing and us at the end of the season. It's like, man, if those guys were all together, we could have did X, Y, Z. I don't want to be bored the rest of the season. This game, I think we are talking about, it was boring as shit. I don't care if they lost. But the game was boring. I need a exciting brand of baseball, which they used to be, and now they're just going through the motions in a garbage offensive effort. Today, the pitching staff was good. I haven't talked about Mike Clevenger. He did exceedingly better than he's supposed to do as a fifth starter, and it's hard for me to give that man a compliment, but 6 innings of 3 earned runs or less is what I want any starting pitcher to do, much less the fifth starter. So I got to give him credit today. He did well, even though I don't like the guy.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with most White Sox starting pitchers has been they've gotten the 6 innings. It's just been 4 earned runs, 5 earned runs, 10 earned runs, whatever. That is Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. He will be at Guaranteed Rate Field tomorrow covering Jose Abreu's return to Guaranteed Rate Field. So make sure you don't break that damn bobblehead. So make sure you check out him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. This is Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at 23.
Jose running across the bases.
He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Stephen Nicholas for producing the show. We will see you tomorrow for a CHGO White Sox postgame show after the Astros take on the White Sox. See you then. Go Sox.